Now here, since we have WireMock.start, now it come to that point and okay, now the server started, it bind to the particular given address and port. Now if you go to say it's same as like how you did it using the standalone Java file, so you can go to localhost 80. So since the port we gave 8181, so you need to go to 8181. So yeah, when you come here, you will see no response couldn't be served. Then you can access the admin API, so you know to underscores and give admin, then it will load all the stubs available. Similarly, all the admin API options which were available through the Java file are still available using this SDK as well. So you can access the Swagger UI, the recorder, and all the things. Hello, my dear friends, and welcome back to QA Bro, your favorite YouTube channel. So, as you know, we were exploring WireMock. We did 2 videos on previous weeks. First, we started with the WireMock Cloud, and then we saw how to use the WireMock standalone version after downloading the jar. And I promise that this week I will show you how to use the Java SDK for your needs. So, yeah, today, after checking the Java SDK part, I think we will be all clear about all the parts related to WireMock, how to use it in different versions as well. And I think you are ready to use WireMock with your day-to-day tasks at your work. So yeah, so without wasting any more time, let's go for the Java SDK. So here, if you come on the WireMock website and the same place like last week, we download the standalone Java from here. Here on the other tabs, you will see how to add the dependency to your project based on your build tool, like for Maven, Gradle, Gradle Groovy, Gradle Kotlin. Then also there is a Scala SBT as well. So to be added to the build.sbt file. Likewise, there are different options available. So I will select the Maven one. You can go to your favorite IDE and then you can create a new project. Let's say I will create and then so I will add a WireMock sample. Okay, let's say WireMock something like this. Let's put and then language Java, build system is Maven, and then JDK, yeah, and yeah, all good. Here, yes. So let's create. Okay, so I added the POM XML file, and then let's try to let's build the project. Yeah, it seems all good. Then what you know what to do. Here you can find the dependency. So I will copy paste this. Here I will come to the POM XML again. I need to add the dependencies parent tag. Inside the parent tag, I can put this new dependency for the WireMock. So for WireMock, starting from 3.0.0, it moved to the group ID org.WireMock. Previously, it was different. So if you are using 2 version, you will see the group ID is different. But from 3 versions, it was changed to the org.WireMock. Okay, so after adding the dependencies, now it's time for us to build the project. So yeah, I will build it from here. Maven install. This will take some time since it need to download all these from the central. So I will pause it from here for a few minutes. And once it is downloaded, I will start back. Okay, I'm back. Here my build was success and now you can see all these errors were resolved. And here you can see the snapshot Java was built. So the artifact is done. So yeah, now you can verify it's all good. So let's time for us to add a code. So as you know now, like in WireMock, there are mainly two parts, isn't it? We need to have the server where all these stubs will be loaded, and it is the one where we will call. And then we can have a client as well. Yeah, for the client, either you can send a curl request, or else you can use any other tools as well, like the Postman or anything, to send the request. Because the main purpose of using WireMock is to have the server to have your all stubs. So then you can point all your API testing or anything to this WireMock server. Then WireMock server will respond with the configured stubs. But also you can create using the WireMock SDK, you can create a client as well. So I will show both parts. So I will remove the scope from the POM XML file and then I will create my Java class here in the main. So let's give a name. Let's say the server. And then yeah, I will add a main method. So then you can easily run our class. And then yeah, now it's time to create, access the WireMock SDK. So first we need to create an object from the WireMock server. So here you will see the suggestions. So this is the one we need to use, WireMock server from this domain host.wiremock. So yeah, I will add this WireMock server, and then I will create object. So new WireMock server. So by doing this, it will create a server for you. But here there are other options as well. You can configure different other options when you start the server to have these options. Like you can, so if you go like this, it will use a default port, or else you can specify a specific port for the WireMock server to start. So all these configurations you can do through accessing this WireMock. Let's say, yeah, WireMock. Here you will see the option WireMock configuration. If you go to WireMock configurations, and here you can see all these different options are there. Currently the default port is 8080. Even if you don't put the port, so it will use the port 8080 by default. And then likewise there are these different options are there, but since we need to configure these, so I will go to options, and then here now you can see you can configure all these things. So if you access port, you can specify a number for the port, and then if you need HTTPS, you can configure HTTPS port as well. And then likewise there are different other options, the bind address, so that means you can give an IP. Likewise there are different options are there, so you can play with these different options to configure your WireMock server to have all the configurations as you need. So for the time being, I will go with port. So let's say I will go for port 8181 because the default one is 8080. I will give 8181, and then yeah. Now let's simply start. Okay, I will, let's say I will put some line, say starting right, so we know that it came to here, and then we can run our WireMock cell. Okay, now you can see it's building, and here printed starting WireMock server, and yeah, and I can see the process got finished. Yeah, so no errors up to now, so we know all are good. Then to start the server, you can again call the object using, then there will be option called start. So you need to call this particular method. So now WireMock server will start. Then yeah, let's run again. Last time you can see process was finished, but now you can see the process not finished and it still is listening. Now here since we have WireMock.start, now it come to that point, and okay, now the server started. It bind to the particular given address and port, and now it's listening there. Now if you go to, now you know how to access this. Say it's same as like how you did it using the standalone Java file. So you can go to localhost 80. So since the port we gave 8181, so you need to go to 8181. So yeah, when you come here, you will see no response couldn't be served. So these things are familiar to you since we did it using the standalone Java as well, and we don't see any logs. Then you can access the admin API. So you know, to underscores and give admin, then it will load all the stubs available. Similarly, all the admin API options which were available through the Java file are still available using this SDK as well. So you can access the Swagger UI, the recorder, and all the things. Then I will stop the server because I want to add some logs because we don't see any logs. So to enable logs here again, after the port, you can go here, and here you will see, if you check the options, there is one option called the notifier. If you go to the notifier, and here I can configure to have a new console notifier. If you check here, the new console notifier is asking for a boolean value. Then so it is to enable the verbose login. So we solve verbose login from the console on the Java, the Java as well standalone Java. So you can enable or disable the verbose login from here. So to enable, I need to pass a boolean called true. Okay, so then if I start again, this time you will see more logins will be here. Okay, it says verbose login enabled, and it says using HTTP server implementation. And here I will give some space, and here if you go to admin API again and refresh, now you can see here it print so many other logs as well. Admin request for get, and likewise there are different log options are printed. So this is how you can enable or disable verbose login for your debugging purposes. So these are the main things for the server actually, and then if you need anytime you can use WireMock server.stop, and then you can close the server, shut down the server as well. And then here, now let's see how you can do the recording. So similarly, you can go to the recorder, and here you will see the recorder is also there. So it's same, nothing different. So today also I will use this RESTful API. And yeah, let's go to this particular endpoint. So first you need to put this target URL here, and then you can start the recording, and then you can call this path to our localhost 8181 endpoint like this. Okay, then I will hit, and then you can see the response was received. So you know how this works. WireMock worked as the proxy. Then I will stop, and here you can see it says captured one stub mappings. Okay, then if I come back here, now you can see it added a new folder under the test directory called resources, and under that there is a file called mappings. So this is same as you do with the standalone, the same way it created the file. Okay, so here body. If you need, you can put this to a file called, then here you need to change as body file name. These things we already have discussed. And this part I will extract out, and I will put this to a file called response.json. And then here I will come to here and I will copy this response. And then I will go back here and I will create a new directory called __ files. And then for the files directory, you can save this as in a file called response.json, and I will put this. Okay, now it's here. You know all these things because we have already discussed these things last week under the standalone version. All are same, nothing different in here. So the files directory and the mappings directory. But since this is now under the test directory resources, so this is the place the server will look for by default. But if you want to configure it for somewhere else, let's say if you have the resources directory under the main, using the WireMock configuration, you can simply change those as well. So you can see here there is the option using file under directory, and then here you can simply give the path to the specific place. But the default path is under the test, so I will use the same default. So this is the option if you want to change it to somewhere else. Okay, so then yeah. Okay, we are all good. Let's restart the server. Okay, then if I go to again to check our the stubs, since we add one stub now, it should give one suggestion. Okay, so here you can see currently we have total 1 stubs here, all good, and then we can call this again, and you can see give the response. Okay, so let me give here. Okay, it gave the response from our server, and here if you come and check the verbose login also there, you can see it passed the response. Okay, a match response definition was found, that means a stub was found, and it passed the response. So it's same again if you say, let's say if it didn't find a matching response, so it's same. So it will show the error as well. URL doesn't match here. Expected 10, but it found 11. So in that case, it failed. Okay, so those are same, nothing different. Okay, so this is how you can create the server. Okay, now let's see how you can create the client as well, because using the client also you can easily save these stubs and those things you can do. So here I will create another Java class. Now I will name it as the client, and let's say I will add another main method to here. So here also I will access WireMock. Last time we accessed WireMock server, but this time we want the WireMock client. So here you can see WireMock.client. So from here I will access WireMock client, and then here if you check the available options, here you will see one called the configure. For different options are there, you can see. By default it will use the localhost 8080, the default versions if you run on the same. But since we changed our port, so you can go for the other options like configure for, with you can pass the port number. So let's say there are like different parameters you can pass. So I will go like, so here you can give the IP address, like let's say 127 or something like this. You can configure, because this will be useful if you, let's say, running the server on a different server. So WireMock server is running on somewhere else. Here you running the client on somewhere another place. So then you can simply give the IP like this of the server, something like this you can do. That is how you can connect to a remote server. But since in my case I have both server and host at the same place, I can go like this, and then my port 8181. Yeah, port you can give like this 8181 on localhost. So that is how you can configure it for the same host for a configured port, and here you can add the IP if you are running the server somewhere else. Okay, then if you do like this, now it will send, it will now create this, like it will try to bind to the localhost 8181, and then I will show you something. Now the server is down, and if I try to run the client, it should fail because there is nothing running on this localhost. Okay, so you can see process finished. And here also now if you try to send this request, okay, because connection failed. Yeah, so then the same thing from the client, we will do the same thing. Like here what we do is like, so this is also another client, the browser client. We send the request for the server. The same thing we need to do from here as well. So we can get this path and the query parameters, and then we can send it here, because this part we have already configured localhost 8181. Now we need to configure for this path and query parameters this part mappings. If a request come with this URL with this method, then send this response. The same thing now we need to do here on the client side, the mapping. So again I will access WireMock client. Then there is option called this is stub 4. So this is where you can access or create these stubs. Then again, first part is like you need to create the matching part on the JSON. The first object part was the matching requests. So WireMock dot. Here now you can see all the different HTTP methods are there. So this is to configure for each different HTTP method. So in my case, I will go with the get request. So now here you can configure the path parameters and query parameters. So let's say hello. So this means if a request with path parameters hello came to localhost 8181, okay, it's a match, then you can configure to send a particular response. Other than that, other than the HTTP method, you can configure other things as well for any machine. Like here, you can check for basic auth, for a cookie present, for the form parameters, and even for the host IP, and then for metadata, and then for the path parameters, then for the query parameters, and for the request body information. All these things you can access here to create the matching for the stub. And then for my case, this is enough for me. I will check only for the get request with the particular path parameters, and then will return. So this is here again, if you go to the JSON object, so this part we now completed. Request matching for particular URL with the particular HTTP method. So this is here get request with path hello. Then the time to create the response object now. So we'll return inside that. Again, I will access now WireMock client. Then you can see different options. You can create a response or JSON response, or else simply you can send this HTTP status code for a bad request. Okay, created, forbidden, likewise. Those also you can send simply. So I will go with a response option. And then here if you go, now you can see you can again configure the response body, the response body head body or the response headers. Likewise, there are different other options with status. All these things you can configure. So I will go for the response body, and for the body also you will see here with response body. This you can use if you are planning to send an inline response, and here with body file name. So in our previous JSON example, we put the body file name. That means like instead of sending the response here, we save the response into a different file and we pass the file here. The same thing you can do with your client here. Instead of giving response body inline, you can go with body file and then you can simply give the part to the file name. Okay, let's say with first I will configure the status code. So let's say something like this weird one 206. So then we can easily check it from the client whether it received the response with the particular status code, and then you can go for with here with body you will see different options like you can create object and you can go with the string. So I will go with the string option. So I will give here hello world. Okay, yeah, that's enough I think. Okay, there was a missing parenthesis here. Okay, so likewise you can configure all these things, and other than that again you can add some other information as well here, all this information. And here if you come will return, then again from here also you can add if you need to keep it persistent with basic auth with cookies, those things also you can add. Okay. So then now we are good. Now let's see what will happen. Okay, so first we need to start the server, otherwise it will not work. Okay, my server is running now and we had the login enabled, and now I will run my client. Okay, now you can see process finished with exit code. And here if you check on the server, for the server it received here a get request with path hello and it sent the hello world. Yeah, so the same thing. Okay, since it was not clear from the client code, so let me send here now hello. Now you can see it sent hello world. The sample was sent. So this is how you can create these stubs easily. But now there's a problem. Okay. Now if you go here and check again the admin, it will show as we have two stubs. Previously we had this which is already saved in the file, and this is the new stub which I created now through the client code. For the time being it's there because the server is up and running. But you can see it didn't create any files or anything. But now let's say if I shut down the server, okay, and then if I restart my server, and then if I check for the stubs, I have only one stub, the one which is saved in the file. So the one which I created through the client call is missing. So that's the problem with this option. So since you created the stub once, but since it is not saved anywhere, once the server is shut down or restarted, those stubs will be removed. Again, you need to run this WireMock client and register this stub again. But yeah, I know this is very tedious. So every time we can't run the client and register all these stubs. Yeah, if you need, you can do that as well. Don't we have any other options like can we use the client to save these to a file? Yeah, so we can see that now. So again, I will use WireMock from the client. And here you will see there's a method called save all mappings. All these things are done from WireMock for you. No need for you to worry about saving these things to a file. It will be done automatically through the WireMock SDK. There is a method WireMock save all mappings. So if you create any stubs from the client code, then don't forget to add this method save all mappings. Then all these stubs will be saved as a file and it will be kept in our resources directory. So then even though server restarted, it will be available next time. So okay, now let's run the client again. So I will keep some space here on the server and I will run the client now. Now you can see Okay, post request received, sorry, a request received here with the get request hello and with this body, and it generated the UUID. And now you can see another request received for the WireMock admin API to save this. So that was done through this save all mappings method. And now if you check, previously we had only one mapping file, and now you will see there is another file created called get hello. Okay, it's the things which you wanted to have a URL, path parameters as hello, a method with get. If so, then we will send response with status code 2 or 6 and with body value as hello world. Okay, now let's stop the server again. Okay, and then let's rerun the server. Now since it's saved under the mappings, now if you go and check here, it will have two stubs every time for our newly created get request and the previously saved one and the new get request with the hello world. So this is how you can save all your stubs permanently in your server. So this is the server code and the client code and the mappings and files. So these things the same as we did with the standalone. And same way as we discussed last week, you can access all these available different endpoints with the admin API as well. Yeah, I think that's it for the today. Now you know how to use WireMock in different options, like how to use the WireMock Cloud server, and then how to use the WireMock using the standalone Java file, and how to use the WireMock Java SDK as well. And under WireMock Java SDK, and now you know how to use different other options to create the stubs, how to use the WireMock, the recorder through the admin API, and then how to manually add these stubs, and then how to add the stubs using the WireMock client as well. So there are different other options as well. So as we saw. So I think I have covered everything related to the WireMock. And also there are other options, like if you need WireMock a Docker option is also there. You can simply run this and then it will start the WireMock server for you. That option is also there for you to have a WireMock server. But the other things are same. How to create these stubs, how to access the admin API, all these things are same. The only thing different is like how you can start this server. Okay, I think we can stop it from here for today. We did 3 video series for the WireMock, but still we are in our API playlist, API testing playlist. For next week, I have something special here. See you till next week and happy testing.